I only made 16K this month, and I'm more grateful than when I made 50K. And here's why. Because this month taught me something that I never understood before. Detachment grows you faster than numbers ever will, right? If you're an agency owner and you're making anywhere between 30 to 50 to 100K, you'll kind of get this, right? Because you know how obsession starts killing your flow. You start clinging to every deal, you start clinging to every call, every stat, and it kind of feels harder and it just kind of feels harder and more stressful, and it just gets heavier with time, right? Because you're so focused on the outcome. When you don't hit that number, when you don't hit that goal, it pisses you off, right? And you start working even harder to go past that goal. And no matter what you do, you just can't get there, right? You keep doing the right things, the same scripts, the same funnel, the same ads, the same systems, but results just change, right? You have 50K months, then you go back down to 16, you go back down to 10, you go back, maybe you go to 20, but you don't hit that 50 again, right? And here's what I kind of realized, right? Like what was pretty much consistent before is no longer consistent now. And that's when I realized when I stopped clinging to outcomes, so the money, the clients, the results, I actually started learning from them and growing exponentially, pretty much 11xing my business in the span of 2 quarters. How? Let me kind of get into it, right? So you ever notice when you want something too badly, it kind of starts slipping away, right? What do I mean by that? Let me take you down here. If you know who these people are, good for you. If you don't, let me tell you a little bit, all right? Might have to make my face a little smaller here. Um, so here's the thing, right? When you want something so bad, you place so much importance on the outcome, you place so much importance on the result that it does the opposite thing, right? Like when you're so desperate to close the sale, the energy just feels off and the person can feel it, right? Same goes with women. They can smell that you're desperate and it just kind of turns them off. So the Bhagavad Gita talks about this, right? And Lord Krishna says, you have the right to work, but not to the fruits of your labor, right? Even in Taoism, Lao Tzu says, do your work, then step back. The only path to serenity. Marcus Aurelius in Stoicism, right? He says, focus only on what you can control, what you have control over, which is the present, right? And even people like Alex Hormozy, Naval Ravikant in modern language say, detach from the outcome and attach to the process. Oh man, attach, attach, ATD, attach to the process, right? And I didn't really understand what this kind of meant until I lost a 6K fucking client. 6K per month. Lost that client. Why? Let me tell you, right? I was on a call with a client and I had this prospect, wanted to close for 6K. I did everything right. The call was great. We went deep into their pains, deep into everything. It was a perfect close. We built a rapport and I thought it was going to be an easy close. And guess what they said? Fuck no, right? They didn't want to close, right? And in that moment, I realized how much I was clinging to that 6K a month. I wasn't even listening at the end. I forgot to cross sell. I forgot to explore. I was so fixated on that 6K per month outcome that I couldn't see everything else that that call could become, right? When you cling to an outcome, you lose presence and you stop leading, then you start reacting, right? You stop seeing the bigger picture. I forgot to explore, right? I was so fixated on 6K per month that I missed every other door and opportunity that was open, right? So when you're fixated on a specific outcome like 6K per month, you kind of fog up to all the other possibilities that that call might have had, right? Because you're so laser focused on that 6K per month, you don't really see anything here, you don't see anything there. All you see is 6K per month, and anything that's not that, you're not even thinking about it. Those other opportunities won't even click in your brain, right? So once you detach from the outcome of the 6K a month, once you detach from the importance, once you decrease the importance of the outcome itself, what happens is your perspective widens and you're able to see much different things, right? You're able to see that, wait, I gathered data, the call is recorded. Now I know how to close a bit better on the next call. You might have been able to pitch them a different offer. You might have been able to pitch them 2K per month. You might have done a 2 call close and built rapport and take it on the next call, book in a follow-up call, and then close on the next one. You could have added them into a long-term nurture, grab their email and start sending emails, case studies, everything. They were a good call. A rapport was there. It didn't close. I was so focused on the 6K per month. When it didn't happen, I was disappointed. But if I wasn't focused solely on the 6K per month, I would not be disappointed. I would be in the present. I would not think too much about the future. I would focus on my inputs and I could see what else that could become, right? Since I was so focused solely on the 6K per month, I was not even able to see that I could have done a 2 call close. I lost the fucking client. I burned the bridge, right? That was my mistake. And same goes for everywhere in life. In every single aspect of life, you need to understand that one outcome doesn't mean the end. There are infinite possibilities, infinite outcomes. And when you place too much importance on one outcome from one specific situation, you don't really see all the other outcomes that that thing can become, right? So that's what every philosophy is essentially trying to teach, right? Detachment does not mean apathy, right? Detachment, in fact, means freedom. Freedom from the chains of a specific outcome, right? It means if you show up with full intensity, if you show up with complete intensity, zero desperation, zero importance on that specific outcome, what happens is you can see the bigger picture, right? The Gita says, do the work and forget the fruit, right? Lao Tzu says, do your work and then step back, right? Marcus Aurelius says, don't be disturbed by the future, face it with the same reason you have now, right? And Hormozy says, focus on inputs, right? So different languages, same truth, right? Now look, the thing is, attention equals to attachment equals to tension, right? When you're attached to a specific outcome, you're tense, you're gripping. When you're detached, you're flowing, because when a different outcome comes in, you're flexible. You get what I mean? When you cling, your energy collapses and it becomes rigid because you're clinging to a specific outcome. If it doesn't go this specific way, then my fucking world is over, right? When you release that attachment from that specific outcome, you're able to see way more possibilities in the situation, right? In sales, for example, right? When you feel like you need the sale, they can feel it, right? In creativity and content, when you feel like you need the views, when you feel like you need that engagement, when you feel like you need a specific outcome, what happens is you end up over editing, you lose your soul, you end up creating content that's not even aligned with you. You say shit just for views, which in turn misaligns you with the actual people that were aligning with your content, right? In leadership, when you need validation, when you need something to go a certain way, you micromanage your team. You might even undercharge, right? When you need that validation, all of this stuff happens because you're so focused on one specific outcome, right? And look, it's not ancient philosophy or spirituality or metaphysics or anything like that. It's just mental physics, right? The tighter you grip, the less you can move because you're not agile. When the outcome doesn't go the way you want it to, if you are not gripped on the outcome, then you can immediately just sidestep and take it another way. That's what entrepreneurs do. That's what we are, right? We take what is into what it can become. And if it doesn't become that, that new thing is what is, right? It's exactly as Marcus Aurelius said in Stoicism, right? Focus only on what you can control, right? And don't be disturbed by the future. Face it with the same reason you have now. Because when you reach the future, that's your new now. So when you reach the outcome, you have to face it with the same reason as the present, not the future. When you're so focused on the outcome itself and the outcome doesn't go the way you want it to, you no longer think clearly because you were so focused and gripped on one certain outcome. For example, if a sale didn't go the way you wanted it to, you're so focused and gripped on 6K, 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 anything else is bad. But there's no good and bad. Face it with the same reason in the present moment, right? I hope that kind of made sense. It makes sense to me. Maybe I'm not. If it doesn't make sense to you, too bad. Just message me on IG or something like that, right? But look, when I started embodying this, everything changed, right? I started detaching from outcomes and focusing on mastery. What do I mean by that? Not the next client, but how I showed up on each call now, right? Not how much I made, but how much I grew. Because it's always the person you become, the version of you that can hold more money, that can hold more responsibility. People think making money is easy, right? Keeping money is easy. Keeping money is not easy, right? Imagine you're given $100 million. Most people will fucking freak out and won't know what to do because they're not prepared. They don't have the systems of thinking to actually let that money circulate. They'll freak out, bro. You know, some people are afraid to make a lot of money, right? That's when I started seeing options instead of failures, opportunities instead of failures. I could lose a 6K deal and immediately find another way to win. Cross-sell, refine, extract lessons, and evolve, right? Reflect, right? Here's the thing. Attachment blinds you. When you're attached to a certain outcome, you're blinded to infinite possibilities, right? Detachment reveals opportunities, right? And infinite opportunities, infinite possibilities, because that's the universe. There are infinite possibilities. Anything can come into existence, anything, right? But when you're so attached to one single outcome, you no longer see the infinite possibility, right? You no longer see that I could put them into nurture. You no longer see that I could downsell them, I could cross sell them. I can refer them to someone else and get a cut, right? You're so focused on selling them that specific service that sometimes you even forget to listen to the actual pains. If someone's telling you that they don't have a problem with lead generation, they have a problem with lead quality, you don't sell them lead generation. You make up a new offer on the fucking spot and sell them on how they can improve their lead quality. So if you're so focused on selling one specific service, you're not being able to see all the other services that you could develop because they're similar. They're the same vertical, maybe even horizontal, right? So look, when Krishna, Lao Tzu, wait, let me take you back here. So when Krishna, when Lao Tzu, when Marcus Aurelius, Naval Ravikant, Alex Hormozy, when they tell you to not cling, when they tell you not to cling to the outcome, not to cling to the future, focus on what you can control, be in the present, attached to the process, they're not saying that you shouldn't care, right? They're saying that you should care so much that you no longer need it to go a certain way. Because when you stop needing control, you start channeling power, right? That's the paradox. The moment you stop chasing, that's the moment the result starts chasing you, right? The moment you stop chasing the girl, that's the moment she hits you up. The moment you stop following up constantly and bugging a client, that's when 2 months, 3 months down the line, after they've watched all your content and nurtured themselves, they come back into your funnel and ask you, hey, let's hop on a call. I have a few questions. Let's get started, right? Because now you're not focusing on the outcome. You're focusing on the process. You're focusing on building the best delivery system that ever existed. When you have a strong delivery system, the clients will just come to you, whether that's through referrals, whether that's through consuming your content, whether that's through absolutely anything, right? So I wanted to make this video because I truly think doing work without clinging to the outcome, number one, is a way you will close more clients because you'll actually listen. Number two is you'll build the best delivery system in the fucking world. And coincidentally, you're going to get more clients because you're going to have amazing delivery. You're going to have amazing results for your clients. And if you have amazing results for your clients, they're going to bring you more clients, right? So anyways, that's pretty much what I want to make this video about. Crazy shit, right? 16K this month, usually on like 30, 50. But I didn't get demotivated. I just went back and looked through everything, looked through all of my data, rather than thinking, why the fuck did I not hit that same goal? Why did I not hit 50? Why did I not 50? 150K? I'm like, wait, what offers actually worked this month? Let me look at the positive side. How did I get to 16K this month? I must have pivoted somewhere. I must have done something different. Let me figure out what's currently working now in the market. What marketing strategy is currently working, right? Instead of solely focusing on 50K and trying to figure out what I did before to get to that 50K, now I'm thinking, wait, what did I do new to get to the 16? So maybe if I do this new shit 3x next month, I'll hit to 50 again, right? Anyways, that's it for today's video. I hope you got some nuggets from this. I really have been loving making videos like this recently. Mainly because these topics are topics that I really like to talk about. But if you have any questions and you didn't know what the fuck I was talking about, I know I went a bit off board, but all of this makes a lot of sense to me. If it doesn't make sense to you, just let me know, DM me on Instagram, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.